Back to Daytime, in the Daytime Chiropractic Clinic with our host, Dr. BJ Hardick. Thank you so much for being
Glad
here.
we can be here.
And we've got a couple of more
patients.
Patients?
Yep.
I wasn't sure if we call them patients.
Clients, friends.
Clients.
Yeah. You know, patient means there's something wrong with you.
Right.
But I don't think there has to be something wrong with you to go have your spine checked and just live a healthier life.
All right, Kayla, Jace, thank you guys so much for being here. How far back does chiropractic care go for Jace and for you personally?
Well, we both started at the same time, actually. Jace was about 18 months old. I was pregnant, and my back was killing me, so we came in and we got some help from BJ. And so he's had pretty regular adjustments since then. Okay,
well then this brings me to, I think, one question that a lot of parents might have is, how early? How early is too early? Or is there a too early?
Yeah, I mean, I check a ton of kids the day that they're born. I was checked the day that I was born. What I have typically seen, and what the research shows as well, is that the more natural the delivery, the less interference, the fewer interventions medically that are necessary, the less trauma to the skull. But I mean, babies that have difficulty coming out because they're either a big baby, or they're born crooked, or they're a C-section emergency, so their head goes, there can be trauma to the upper cervical spine. I had a baby last week where, unfortunately, based on the way the baby was presented, they had to turn the baby manually inside the mom and then pull the baby out. So the baby's neck was definitely subluxated.
Okay. It's kind of interesting that you mentioned this because one of the, when my daughter was born, she had a broken collarbone.
Okay.
We didn't know for probably 2.5, 3 weeks. So I think
from the birth process, possibly?
Yeah, from the birth process.
Well, yeah, so again, if it can be traumatic enough to break a collarbone, it can definitely be traumatic enough to misalign either the occiput or the atlas or the C2.
Okay. So we checked Jace basically as soon as he was born, and everything was fine?
And then a little bit of time went by, and then he started having some issues, so why don't you get into that a little bit?
Well, last August he was finally diagnosed, but it took about 10 months, and he actually had all the symptoms of childhood onset Tourette's. So gross motor, fine motor, and verbal tics that were really affecting his sleep and his attention at school. And we were still coming regularly to BJ, but I brought him in and I'm like, what can we do? Something's like, what can we try to make this better for him other than medical intervention?
So what did we try?
Well, we reanalyzed how he was doing, because of course we started as a baby, and then of course things can happen, tumble, falls. So we developed some new analysis on him, found out where some of the problems were, which we found it was up here in this top bone here on the left side, and we developed it. He was developing a little bit of a curvature, which we saw, more like when you. How old are you now?
9.
9. Right. So when you were 7 or so, we said, oh, here's this little bit of a curvature starting. So we started working on the new listings, and he's done great.
Yes.
As far as the tics and the Tourette's symptoms, immediately come down after getting adjusted, and when he's adjusted more often, just get fewer of them.
Is that a common thing? I mean, I think a lot of people would not relate chiropractic care to something like Tourette's.
Well, yeah, that or any type of brain or cognitive activity. I mean, they've done studies on kids with hyperactivity issues, and they monitor kids doing homework, and those that get adjusted, those that don't, they monitor fewer hand rattlings and fewer, just physical disturbances when they're in a better state of peace, when there's less pressure up here at the atlas and occiput. So, it has been studied, and then we see it all the time.
And he had hyperactivity along with it.
Yeah.
And so, was that something that you had considered, or was it just a happy coincidence that you were already seeing Dr. Hardick?
I was Googling it like crazy, trying to find other options other than medication, and finally I read an article about chiropractic, and I called him immediately at home going, I'm coming in the morning, okay?
And we just had to reanalyze, because there had been a couple issues that had developed throughout the years with tumbles and traumas in sports, so once we found the right listing, started adjusting it perfectly, he's done great.
So then obviously adjustments are specific to each person, but also specific to things that you may be treating.
Well, it's more specifically to the person. Now, it is true that for specific ailments, we might look to certain areas.
Okay.
So in a case of brain, cognitive hyperactivity, we would look to the upper part of the cervical spine. But if somebody's having a lot of digestive issues, we're going to look more down in their lower spine, because that's where the nerves exit and actually control a lot of the organs of digestion. Okay. So we'll look there, but it's really got to be tailored. I mean, Jace's adjustment is different than the adjustment that his brother gets, which is what his sister gets, and which is what his mom gets, because of where he gets subluxated.
Okay. I'm surprised to learn that you can treat something like Tourette's with chiropractic. Are there other things that people may be surprised to learn that they could
I
benefit from?
think the biggest thing is people are surprised that when they come into our office, there's not a lot of people walking around with complaints and problems. So typically when you go to a medical doctor's office, the room is miserable.
But that's a good sign, right?
Well, yeah. So we want to get people before they ever get a lot of symptoms and disease. But at the same time, if you jump onto my website, you'll see all kinds of testimonials there for sure.
The best thing you can see at a doctor's office is a bunch of healthy people.
Oh, well, that's the goal. Right. Now, were we going to adjust his atlas today?
Sure.
Okay.
Go for it.
Come on your back here, buddy.
Do what you need to do.
So in this guy's case here too, we just had to develop a little different type of listing for this top bone. So straighten your legs out there, bud. Good. So we know with you that when things start to get shaky, it's this top bone on the left, which actually, in Jace's case, we can feel it. Actually gets a little more aggravated here. So we're gonna move this left atlas, okay? Right on. Good. Just drop your head to the right side. Good. You doing good there, buddy?
Yep.
Nice and relaxed. There we go. Good. You okay? Good. Come on up.
That was quick. That was easy.
We did well. But as these kids grow, things will change. Sports that they do, things that they're involved with, habit patterns that they have as well. But yeah, no, I mean, we're a family practice, and the ultimate goal is keeping people well as opposed to treating illnesses.